With a WWE star dealing with an injury and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Taking to Instagram to pay tribute to her late husband, Eddie Guerrero, Vickie Guerrero wrote, "Today is a bittersweet day of remembering how my life changed on this day at 5:30 in the morning. It's no longer a sad day because Eddie is with the Lord eating all the cheesecake and brownies in heaven. I stopped being angry with God for taking Eddie from me because he left with peace in his heart and accomplished everything he had put his heart into. He entertained audiences with his incredible talent of lying, cheating, and stealing the hearts of every fan. My heart is full when I see superstars and fans across the world pay tribute to Eddie. He was gone too soon and will never be forgotten. Eddie, I see the Red Cardinal visit me often, and it's a visual that you are watching over me. I hear songs that remind me of you, and I know you are my guardian angel. I know you see that I am loving life, being loved, and taken care of. Life after you was difficult, but day by day I found my smile, my peace, and I found someone to love and protect me. Each time I walk into the ring, I know you were in the corner, laying across the top rope. I will continue to make you proud and remember your legacy gifted me a place in the ring." With many fans noticing a botch from Smackdown between Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, Steve Fall of 10 Count noted that there was a miscommunication from what I understand, in the sense that it wasn't supposed to be like that, but it got changed like at the last second. I don't know if everyone knew. Liv dove off the barricade but didn't get far enough because originally it was going to be a different spot. From what I gather, when they were going to the ring, it got changed and maybe Liv didn't hear about the change, so that was the result. At the NWA Hard Times 3 event, Tyrus would defeat Trevor Murdoch and Matt Cardona for the world title, as many are not pleased with the results. Here's some of the reactions. Tyrus is the new NWA World Champion. No wonder Aldis gave his notice. You run out of a burning house, not into it. Tony Khan can buy the rights for this title, put it on Serpentico, and could feel more valuable than Tyrus having it. Billy Corgan really thinks Tyrus, who's about as mobile as 89 Andre the Giant, has more legs as the heel NWA champion than Mike Cardona. Sounds like his pumpkin is smashed right about now. Going from Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis as champion to Tyrus is the definition of mud. Billy Corgan is the most incompetent person in wrestling, which in 2022 covers a lot of ground. How are you so delusional to diarrhea all of these words out of your mouth about how there aren't enough women good enough for NWA when you just had fat 50-year-old Tyrus main event a pay-per-view? No way. Tyrus is the NWA champ at the end of 2022. Remove him being a right-wing nutter or the allegations against him, but he'll be 50 in February. Isn't a very dynamic wrestler and isn't over in the slightest. What a strange move. Very tone deaf. Following his suspension from the NWA after going public about his decision to leave, Nick Aldis reacted to this result from the event, writing, "I hope now you see why it was important to me to let you know that I'd given my notice to the NWA before this pay-per-view. What was once a promising endeavor that I turned down bigger opportunities to take the lead on has become the most toxic brand in pro wrestling." Touching on the eating habits of former WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon, Road Dogg was asked on his podcast if McMahon had ever eaten a corn dog. Never in his life. God, no. I would never put that in my body. I said, I will put 3 of those in my body. I have holes for all of them, too. The Pensacola State Fair is kicking off, and so I told him, I'm going to the fair. He was like, let's get on the phone Friday. And I was like, well, sir, I'd rather not, because I'm going to the fair with my family, and I'm going to eat fritters and corn dogs and fried apples. And he said, God, a corn dog? What even is that? And I was like, you don't know what a corn dog is? We had the conversation right there. I watched him eat most of his meals. I'm serious about this. The man loves his steak. The man loves his chicken. The man loves his fish. The man loves capers. He likes vegetables like long string green beans, broccolini. For a while there, the food got so nice that I wouldn't eat at catering when I was there. When I was there, they would bring me a steak in the writer's room, and I would have filet mignon for lunch because I found out they just asked for it. He's not a morning person, so I don't know what kind of breakfast he eats, but I've seen him eat lunch at dinner. Road Dogg would also respond to criticism of him claiming to have been a better sports entertainer than Bret Hart, saying, "I didn't mean to stir it up." People are saying he's just trolling. No, Disco Inferno trolls. I've seen his Twitter account. He trolls. These are my legitimate feelings that I thought I put out there as honestly as I could. As an entertainer, if you asked me to go out there and entertain a crowd, I would have different ways to do that than grappling and wrestling. That's what I meant, and I stand by that. If you disagree, cool, we can have a conversation. I don't think it's an argument worth having because nobody wins. It's just my opinion. Bret and I have totally opposite philosophies on wrestling. I love the gaga and sports entertainment. I don't love the ground game. I don't think I'm in the minority when I say that. I also stated Bret was the most over guy. The first over guy I ever saw. It blew my mind that a wrestler could be that over. I said a lot of things in this podcast that I feel like if people gave it their time, I'm not giving you clickbait. Don't click. I don't give a crap. If you're interested and you're taking time out of your day to comment on social media about how stupid I am, that's cool. I am pretty stupid, I'll be honest. I did a lot of dope and got hit in the head with chairs a lot. I don't have very good common sense. However, I've been doing this a minute and I feel it's okay for me to share my opinion. If it's not, please let me know. You took the time to comment on Twitter. Give it a listen. You're going to disagree with a lot of things I say, but surely you'll understand and identify that I'm saying it with respect and from an honest place. If you don't, you're the bad guy in this situation, not me. I had to share my opinion. If you ain't down with that, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. Speaking of the Hitman, Bret Hart revealed to The Ringer when he decided to bury the hatchet with Shawn Michaels. We had our issues over the years, but I watched Undertaker and Shawn Michaels wrestle at one of the WrestleManias. Even then, I had such a bitterness towards Shawn, but I had to admit it was one of the greatest matches I ever watched. That's where I ended up deciding to make friends with Shawn and bury the hatchet and all that. It was very truthful, that little storyline with me and Vince and Shawn. Recalling his run on the WWE main roster as Bobby Lashley's manager before returning to NXT and eventually being released in 2020, Lio Rush told the Say Less podcast, "At first, I'm just going with the flow. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and I'm excited. I'm getting opportunities handed to me. Well, not handed to me. I had to work for everything that I got, but I definitely feel like I got to that position in my class, right? And when it came to a halt, when I got released from WWE, it was almost like I had to just start over and I didn't really know what to do. And it took me a while for me to realize, like, man, maybe I was a little too young for everything that got thrown at me. But at the same time, I don't regret those times at all. I don't wish that I didn't go through these things. I feel like it prepared me for so much once I did get released." During a WWE Network episode on the Ruthless Aggression era, Triple H recalled speaking to Batista and Randy Orton about what to expect when breaking into WWE as a part of Evolution. "Dave, Randy, listen, let me talk to you guys. I pulled them in a room and I said, so you are about to hit the hate button from everybody. Every single person in this room. They're going to tell you, why, man, this is a great opportunity, and they're going to bury you. All of a sudden, everybody you thought was your friend, you're going to find out they're not your friends." Talking on the DDP Snake Pit, the star formerly known as Enzo Amore, Real One, spoke about how he and Big Cass could have saved Ring of Honor after the two left WWE. Ring of Honor did not follow up that match with me and Cass. You could have sold out Madison Square Garden with Enzo and Cass, GOD, and the Briscoes in a tag team title match. You could have. You would have sold out the Garden again, and now Ring of Honor sold out to Tony Khan. The company would still maybe be alive if they booked that match, but then again, that's on them. When asked about CM Punk's comments at the post-all-out media scrum and how AEW president Tony Khan could have cut off his mic, NWA owner Billy Corgan told Steve Fall on 10 Count, "I think that's an unfair question because we don't know a lot of things that only Tony Khan and CM Punk would know. If I was in a similar situation, to answer the spirit of the question, I think I would be calculating. Is the controversy of what this person is saying going to be good for the talent and for the business? Because there were aspects of what Punk said that were good for business because wrestling likes heat, or as Eric Bischoff says, controversy creates cash." As a woman threw a drink at her during a WWE live event recently and got ejected for it, Scarlett Bordeaux reacted to the situation on Twitter, writing, "As a classy woman from Chicago, I'm not surprised that something like this would happen in Peoria. P.S. to the granny who threw the drink, your booze was as cheap as your hairdo." Touching on his retirement match against Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 25, which lasted about 30 seconds, JBL gave his reason for this on Table for 3. Everything that Vader had that he could give me, he did that day. That's why when my back got bad and I had to retire, that I chose you, Mysterio, and I said, this is my last match, and whatever JBL has, you're gonna get what I got, which ain't a lot at that point. I tried to get as much heat as possible on myself and on you, that when that finish went off, that 1, 2, 3, that whatever equity JBL had, I gave it to you. To me, that's what you do in the business. You do it for people you love the business, you love people around you. That to me is paying it forward. It was an honor to do it. Staying on the topic of Rey Mysterio, it seems he is dealing with an injury, as Ringside News wrote. We've had some questions about Rey Mysterio and his current status. We can confirm that Mysterio was backstage in a walking boot, so he has a short-term injury. When asked about a potential match with WWE star Sasha Banks, Tessa Blanchard said this during a digital signing for RDP Promotions. You know, Sasha Banks and I trained together a few times in San Antonio when they came to visit. Her and Kalisto, and her and I have really good in-ring chemistry. Same with Bayley. Super fun training sessions. So, maybe one day. Speaking to Steve Fall of 10 Count, Ken Shamrock revealed why he refused to work with Chyna during his time in WWE. So I just felt like at that time, after the thing that happened with Bret, they had some other things they wanted me to do, like wrestle with Chyna, which is something that I told them because my kids were 5, 7, and 9 or something like that at the time, and I'd always told them, you don't hit girls. You know, it was just a thing, right? Shamrock also noted if he wanted to make a WWE return. You know, not that I would say no, obviously, I'd have to look and make sure it's the right thing. It would have to make sense, right? So yeah, of course, if that was to come around and if it made sense, then yeah. On the Wrestling Outlaws podcast, former WWE star EC3 had this to say about Braun Strowman's recent negative tweets about high-flying wrestlers after his performance in Saudi Arabia against Omos, saying this about stars like Will Ospreay and Chris Jericho standing up to him online. I don't think anybody did anything good in this. Jericho, I mean, I'm always up for standing up for the working man, and we talked about this on the pod with Vince, and Ospreay is pretty funny. It's a good point while you're mad about making money and people are doing the same. The tweet's dumb, the tweet's idiotic. Talking about his feud with Kevin Owens from ROH, Jay Lethal told Kurt Angle, there was a time at Ring of Honor where I was feuding with Kevin Steen, and he wanted to do this thing where he'd spit on my parents. The toughest part about that was my parents never sat front row. They didn't like sitting front row because of that. If they ever sat front row, it was like it was a dead giveaway. So I was okay with them doing this angle with him, but I didn't want them front row, and he was gung-ho about it, and I'm a team player. And so are they, and it came out. After it was done, I thought it was cool. For that same interview, Jay Lethal would also reveal how long he plans to be a part of AEW, saying things happen for a reason. Now, I am in AEW, which is amazing. It's a godsend. Then they bought Ring of Honor, but I'll be at AEW until the company closes, they let me go, or they fire me, because to me, in wrestling, if I'm going to put my body, my life, and my career on the line for you, I've got to appreciate and love you. There is some bond between us, and I'm going to try my hardest to not ever break that bond. So if you don't break it, I'm not going to break it, and we'll bond forever. When asked about her WWE Hall of Fame induction, Torrie Wilson revealed on the Mike O'Hearn show, it was a very surreal time. I never even considered that I would be in the Hall of Fame. I just never, you know? So when they called me, it was a very pleasant surprise. And then I realized how cool it actually really was. In a video showing them heading to a convention in England, Mickie James and Trish Stratus reunited.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, we're talking.
Oh, we're talking. Okay, because before we were walking
And now we're talking.
talking. We're on our way to
MCM.
MCM
Comic-Con.
Birmingham, England. So please come and see us.
Please do.
We are on our way. We're almost there.
Yeah.
And you'll be getting some
Line 'em up.
amazing satisfaction.
Yes, you
yes,
did.
you will get that. Yeah.
Taking to Instagram, The Rock showed off his recent cheat meal to fans. Here's the clip.
Feel good fuckets. We have homemade biscuits, crunchy bacon, dozen eggs, coconut banana pancakes, and of course, the one and only Terramana tequila, also known as the bottle and the tequila that'll never let you down. Sounds like a good country song. I'm gonna sing one day. All right, well, cheers to you guys. To the feel good fuckets. I want all you guys to have the feel good fuckets. If you feel like having them, then have the feel good fuckets. Cheers, and cheers to always taking care of you. That's good. All right, let's eat the feel good fuckets.
Speaking about potential plans for his daughter Charlotte in WWE, Ric Flair noted on his podcast, "To be very honest, I have no idea. She keeps everything to herself. I know she's talking to the company, but I don't know any more than that. If I did, I couldn't tell you anyway. She doesn't trust me to tell me anything because I can't keep my mouth shut." Talking about a potential matchup between Charlotte and Bianca Belair, the Nature Boy said, "She is probably in the best shape of her life. I think it's probably a mutual decision between her and the company as to when she comes back. I would assume under the perfect circumstance. She's the best wrestler, but she's the greatest female wrestler of all time. Like I said before, to have two legit world-class athletes, you could write the story itself. NCAA track star, strength, coordination, athleticism, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair. It's a main event in itself. In my opinion, that's the match." It would also be noted on the show by Conrad Thompson that Charlotte is doing just fine. Well, a lot of fans I know created a little bit of chatter because I guess there was an appearance she had that was canceled. And I know Andrade said recently that she had some personal stuff that she was working on. You and I know that physically, she's fine. Emotionally, she's fine. It's her business to share. But I guess what I wanted to sort of set the record straight on is there's nothing wrong with Charlotte Flair. She's just fine. When explaining the origin of his heat with Triple H, Chris Jericho admitted on his podcast, "There was a lot of animosity for real, because I had the audacity to come to WWE. People didn't like it. They didn't want WCW guys coming to WWE because they felt we were inferior. So you could do 10 things right, but if you did one thing wrong, you were under a microscope and you were in trouble. And those guys had pull, so they'd bury you to Vince. I remember Triple H when I first got there. He said, 'If you ever need anything, give me a call.' We were in San Jose, and I was trying to find directions to Stockton or somewhere like that. I went, I'll call Triple H. He seems like a nice guy. This will be the start of our friendship. So I call him, and he's like, 'Hello? Who's this?' 'It's Chris Jericho. Do you know how to get to Stockton? You want to know how to get to Stockton? Buy a map.' And I hear this laughter in the background of X-Pac and Road Dogg. He hangs up, and I'm like, well, there goes that friendship down the toilet." Jericho also touched on why he thinks Chyna intentionally sabotaged a spot in his match against Triple H at Fully Loaded in 2000. There was a big sign in gorilla position that said, "Stay away from the Spanish announce table." The match before us was Chyna versus Perry Saturn, and guess what Chyna did not do? She did not stay away. They hit this table and collapsed it, and something in my head makes me think she might have done that on purpose because it was her ex-boyfriend that was in the next match. Maybe, I don't know. Sticking with Chris Jericho, he touched on his health struggles from last year, telling Howie Mandel couldn't breathe, like literally. "I was on stage with Fozzy and I couldn't sing. I couldn't catch my breath, and I was like, this is weird." And I started hearing a blood clot because I talked to a couple doctors that I knew here, and lo and behold, I had a day off in London. Went and got some blood tests, and they said, "You got to go right to the hospital. You've got blood clots, pulmonary embolism," which, I mean, people die from that. Right away, you got to start getting blood thinners, and they bring this freaking needle and they stick it right in your thigh, and it's it's like, the blood thinners got to get in there right away to start tearing them apart, essentially. So that was the first thing. And then the oxygen level was really bad because you can't breathe. And that's something I think during COVID time, everyone was checking their oxygen levels. It was supposed to be like 99 or 100. Mine was like down at like 92. I couldn't walk from here to that couch without being like panting. It was quick. It was quick that it got to that point. So at the beginning of the tour, the first 3 shows were great. Fourth one, I started feeling weird, and I lasted about another 3 days after that before I went to the hospital. So it hit very quick. The onslaught was like boom. And that's how people die from it, because you don't know. No one knows if you have blood clots. How are you supposed to know that? I had no symptoms or anything. It was just a normal guy, normal day, and suddenly I can't breathe. So it was really kind of like when you hear that people die of these, you can understand how, because you don't know. When you're in the hospital at any time, it's kind of scary because you never know. Like, oh, what if, right? When you're in the hospital, and this is once again during COVID times, so the level starts going down, and then they put the oxygen in your nose. And I'm like, the next step is the intubation, the freaking ventilator. And then you start freaking out. And I was like, I'm not getting in a wheelchair to go to any of these tests. I'm not putting on this gown. You got to put on the gown. No, I don't. You got to get in this wheelchair. No, I'm walking. I'm walking where I need to go. I was scared. Everything that would, like, if I get into a wheelchair and put the hospital thing on, that's one step closer to, in my mind, never getting out. I just didn't want to accept the hospital gown. All of it was just in my head. Like, what if I never get out of here? You know? What if I don't get out of here? And you start thinking that way. It's freaky. Following her walkout from WWE with Sasha Banks over the summer, Naomi has not been seen in the company since, but was recently spotted hanging out with NXT star Elektra Lopez. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.